So, welcome, guys. So, we are here to discuss our May 26th inter audit RTP questions. Okay, so I hope all of you have this RTP with you. It is RTP for the May 26th. Okay, so what I felt was the MCQ questions in the RTP was good. So we will have in separate sessions. First, we'll go with the MCQs. Then later on, we will go with the descriptor. Okay. So let's start. If all set, can we start? Okay. So as usual, part one is the case scenario question. Case scenario. It's a very big case scenario. Uh, you can go through. See, there are a lot of things which they have stated. And as we always say, whenever you get a case scenario question, don't first read through. Always it is better you directly go. First, you directly go to the questions and then read back. So let's follow the same pattern. I'm first going to the questions. Now, first question. Can you see? In the audit of ABC Limited, which combination of circumstances primarily justified auditor's decision to obtain additional evidence for inventory valuation? See, guys, they are asking you out of the following ABCD, in which circumstances auditor will perform additional procedures and obtain additional evidence. Before we go to the case study, can you please reply? When will you perform additional procedure? Risk lesser control good case first or risk high case? Can you first say that? In which case you will perform more procedure? More audit procedure, more evidence. We will usually do in which cases risk high. Very good, risk high. Now, can you please go back to the case study? Even without reading, we can do, but still, for our exam, always better to read the case study, okay? So, can you read that first passage? You can read. ABC is a mid-sized manufacturing company engaged in production of electrical components and spare parts. The company maintains significant inventory across multiple warehouses. During the audit of FS, the auditor noted inventory prices were highly volatile. Volatile means fluctuating. And discrepancies in inventory records has been reported earlier. Certain inventory items were also identified as slow and required management judgment in valuation. See, slow non-moving inventory. Based on these factors, auditor assess risk of misstatement in inventory is high. The market risk is high. So we got that point. Now say, which combination you will perform more procedure and more evidence? Existence of slow moving inventory requiring management judgment. Yes, this is one of the case where there is a slow non-moving inventory. Okay. Second, prior period discrepancies, meaning last year there was so much of discrepancies. Price volatility means change. Contradictory inquiry response about obsolete inventory. Can you say A or B? Which is risk more? Slow moving inventory is there, point A. Second case, there is a discrepancy, price volatility, you inquired management and you are getting conflicting, contradictory evidence. A or B, which is more risk, guys? B. Very good. Now read C. Materiality of inventory balance, availability of aging report. Actually, availability of aging report is a normal thing. There is no risk in that. They are giving aging report of inventory. This is good. Risk is less. So you will perform only normal procedure. They have asked you when you will perform additional procedure, additional evidence. Physical dispersion of inventory across multiple warehouses. See, they are dispersing inventory across various warehouses. So it's an incomplete option actually. They're not saying anything. So answer is which combination you will perform additional procedure. Therefore, risk most highest in which option, guys? Answer is B. So one takeaway from this, whenever risk is high, you perform wrap through essay. At which essay? 315. When you assess risk is high, what will you do? You will respond. A. Respond. You perform further audit procedure through essay 330. Why? To obtain additional evidence. So answer is B. And if one is clear, can you say 2? Can we proceed to 2? Same case scenario, second question. The store's manager's statement that obsolete items were carried out at cost due to pressure to meet profitability targets most appropriately implies that auditor should. Now, first, you understand the scenario. They said there are slow inventories, and you read the second passage. Second passage, you read in the course of audit, auditor performed inquiries with the manager, production, finance, etc., to identify about obsolete inventory and valuation. While management represented adequate provision has been made for the obsolete inventory, store manager indicated on inquiry that certain obsolete items were still carried at cost to meet profitability target. What did you understand? And as per AS, can you say which AS? Accounting standard. Guys, as per AS2, inventory valuation, whenever there is an inventory, it should be valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Am I correct? Now here, cost NRV, which is lower, the obsolete inventory means here it should have been valued at NRV. But they still carried out at cost. What is the meaning? They should have written down to NRV, but still they are carrying at cost. You saw this case study? Here they have still valued at cost. So inventory is inflated or deflated. I'm asking whether inventory is more shown or less shown. It should have been reduced, but it is still shown at cost. Closing stock is more. If inventory is more, profit is more. My question is whether it will impact our FS. Whether this will impact our FS. Answer is yes. So what we will do? See, this is the thing. They have valued still at cost to meet the profitability. So first option, conclude that issue relates to operational efficiency, do not affect FS. This will affect. Come on, this will affect what? FS. So it is not only operational issue. So option A is ruled out. Second, accept management representation. Essay, can you say which essay? Management representation? Accept management representation regarding adequate provisioning. See, as per essay 580, management representation is not a substitute. It is not a sufficient and appropriate evidence. You cannot merely accept. It's only a corroborative evidence. So rule out B. Treat this information as a indicator of potential management biases and modify the procedure accordingly. Seems to be correct. Since there is an issue, so you have to modify your procedure, perform more procedure. Seems to be correct, but let's read the last option. Consider inquiry response as sufficient and appropriate evidence. Many times we have heard inquiry is not a sufficient and appropriate evidence. Or this is the correct sentence. Inquiry alone does not provide you with sufficient and appropriate evidence. So this is also wrong. Here, inquiry is not sufficient. So the answer is, can you say which is the answer for the second question? Answer is C. I hope it's clear. Can we go to third question if C is clear? I mean, question 2, option C. If that clear, can we go to third? Hello. Third, in the audit of ABC Limited, after obtaining contradictory responses during inquiry, before designing substantive procedure, auditor decided to test control specifically over approval of inventory write down and review of aging report. In our audit procedure, I hope all of you know there are two procedures. Okay, risk assessment procedure, further audit procedure. In further audit procedure, two procedure, test of control TOC, substantive audit procedure SAP. Here, can you read again? Before designing SAP, auditor wants to test the control, meaning which procedure is he doing? He's testing control. So which procedure, guys? Test of control. So, test of control here, is it general or specific? Specifically, he is going to test the control over approval of inventory write down. How inventory write down was done, that he is going to see specifically. Hey, what is the meaning of write down? As we said, there is obsolete, slow moving inventory. So there is a reducing inventory. So internal control should be checked whether from cost it is written down to NRV. So auditor is checking written down internal control, meaning control with respect to write down of inventory. Now can you read and say which is the correct option? What are the controls for testing write down? Control existed, operated effectively to prevent management from deferring write down. Next, inventory quantities recorded in the system matched with physical stock. Management will physically verify the inventory. Substantive testing of inventory could be restricted to analytical. They wanted to say about test of control. So about this, not about SAP. So you can cancel C. Management representation regarding obsolete could be accepted without further corroboration. But again, which essay? As per essay 580, management representation is not a substitute. So D also wrong. Can you guys reply whether A or B, which is more correct? And which is more correct, guys? A or B, which is more correct and apt here? Answer is B, right? Or A? B or A? Answer is, ma'am, both are internal control. No, my friends are saying it is B. Answer is not B. Answer is A. Why, ma'am? See, here we are testing internal control generally or specifically, guys. Tell me that first. Are you checking internal control general or specific? Specific with respect to write down. Here, isn't the first option saying about write down? So answer is, to test the internal control of write down, you should check the control of write down, not whether physically verified. So answer is, which is more apt? Answer is A. And can you all acknowledge whether you understood A? See, you want to test the control of write down. If you test some other control, you won't get the evidence. So answer is A, not B. Because of this. But if 3 is okay, can we go to 4? Okay. So here he was doing test of controller. Next one. After concluding that controls over identification and valuation of obsolete inventory is not operating effectively throughout, auditor perform procedures such as examining subsequent sales, physically inspecting slow moving item, performing substantial analytical procedure. So guys, test of control, he thought or he identified that controls are not effective. If controls are not effective, you remember in essay 330, when test of control results are not satisfactory, you should increase or decrease SAPA. Can you reply? When test of control result is not satisfactory, you have to perform more substantive procedure. That the sentence is from essay 330. When results of test of control is not satisfactory, increase substantive audit procedure. That's what they have done here. See, they saw subsequent sales, they are inspecting, they are performing analytical. Now, can you say which is the correct one here? Determine whether inventory write down has been formally approved in accordance with internal policies. Can you reply? You are checking whether the inventory write down is as per the policies of the company. Checking whether matching with policy, is it TOC or SAP? Option A is you're performing TOC or SAP. Whenever you're checking with internal policies procedure, this is TOC. They are asking about SAP. We got evidence that control is weak, so we have to perform SAP. Whereas internal policies means it refers to internal control checking. Second, B. Direct evidence whether inventory was overstated due to delayed inadequate write downs. So you go directly obtain evidence. This is part of SAP. Further procedure. Now let's wait. Reassess the design of internal control. See, already we got evidence that controls are not effective. So again, performing control, not okay. You have to go for substantive. Again, if you are testing control, it is TOC. Corroborate management representation. Array, in every option they are saying, obtain essay 580. 580 is not sufficient and appropriate evidence. It's only corroborative. So, which is the correct option? And why A and C cancel? Because A and C are test of control. Here already controls are not effective, so you should perform substantive audit procedure. So the answer is B. Are you clear? Can we go to the last case study? Last question of this case study. 5. The auditor identified certain slow, obsolete inventory items continue to be carried at cost. It should have been valued at NRV or cost lower. Lower is NRV. The situation mostly directs the effects with management assertion, thereby requiring focused audit procedure in response. So assertion. Assertion with respect to balance sheet, inventory. What are the assertion? Existence. Then, and I'm just revising existence. Then what assertion? Rights and obligation. Then amount, valuation. Then presentation, disclosure, completeness. Even cut off. So these are the assertion with respect to I'm saying from chapter number 5. Chapter number 5, items in FS. Can you say which assertion is he seeing? Because of slow inventory still carried at cost, it should have been valued at NRV. Which assertion, guys? Is it existence? And for seeing existence, you will go and physically verify. For completeness, you check the records of sales purchases. For presentation and disclosure, it is Schedule 3. Here it is valuation. Why? It should have been at NRV. So which assertion is he trying to establish? Valuation. And how was it? Are we okay with the case study? If so, can you give a reply? Okay. Now can we go to the general MCQs? And a case study is over. Without, and I want to finish in half an hour. So without delay, can we go to the next one? Okay. Just 3 questions, da. 3 questions only. Come on, read. During the audit of QRS Limited for 31st March, the auditor observed that management has changed the method of depreciation from WDV to SLM method. The change was applied in the current year and disclosed in notes. The auditor also reviewed whether financial appropriately summarized the transactions and even recorded and evaluated the judgment in selecting the policies. Okay. In the view of above, which of the following represents auditor's responsibility? So if you see audit report, there are 14 elements. SA 700. In that, one para is management responsibility, another is auditor's responsibility. Not only that, in SA 700, there is a heading called as specific evaluation. See, there are 6 points mainly. Whether management has selected, whether accounting policy consistently and disclosed terms used are appropriate, some relating to management. Now, here they are asking which is auditor's responsibility. Can you reply whether it is A, B, C, D, my responsibility? Hello, my responsibility da. To select the accounting policies, to prepare and present financials, to change the policy, to ensure policies selected are evaluated for appropriateness and consistent application and relevant information is disclosed. Which is auditor's responsibility out of the following? Answer please. See, all these three are management responsibility. To select, to prepare, to change. Whereas to obtain evidence and to ensure is my responsibility. So option is D. D for dog. They are auditor's responsibility. Can we go to 7? Guys, 7. P and Co. Chartered Accountants were appointed as auditors of LMN Limited for the year. Soon after completing the audit, the engagement team began discussions for the current year audit. Before identifying and assessing the material misstatement risk, auditor planning. Timing of certain activities as applying analytical, obtaining understanding, materiality, etc. There are 5 factors. Can you say which essay? The 5 factors which they said. 1, performing of risk assessment procedure, performing of analytical, involving of expert, understanding of law, determination of materiality. These are the 5 factors in. Hello, essay. Very good. Essay 300. Very good. That's right. In planning. Clear? So, which of the, so something related to planning. You understood planning. Which of the following best explains the standard? Standard is essay 300. We found out. Planning is a separate phase that begins after identification of risk. Planning is a continuous and iterative process that includes consideration of all these factors. Planning is restricted to preparation of audit program. Planning is required only for initial audit engagement. Initial audit engagement is say 510. No. Planning is required for every audit. So which is the correct option, guys? Hello, which is the correct option? Option is B. You remember one sentence? Let's revise. In essay 300, there is one sentence. What is that sentence all about? Planning is not a discrete phase, rather, it is a continual and iterative process which begins immediately on completion of previous year audit and continues till completion of current year audit. Are you clear? So, answer is B. B for boy. Wow, now we are coming to the last question. Can I go to the last question? MCQ. While auditing the charitable trust for the year ended 31st March, auditor obtained a list of books records maintained by the trust and verified them in mandatory records prescribed. He is doing the audit of a trust. Based on the evaluation of control, he applied test check. Test check. Test check is something similar to sampling. We hear in chapter 4, sampling. Complied with the applicable accounting standards on auditing, materiality performed, maintained detailed papers, etc. Which of the following actions of the auditor in the above case is most appropriate as per the generally accepted auditing practices? See, in big audit, we don't select entire. Okay, what we do is test check part. So when you are doing test check, which is the most appropriate option they are asking? Can you read? Using professional judgment, determine audit test, applying test check based on internal control, considering materiality, maintaining working papers. Seems to be correct. Applying test check irrespective of internal control, since trust audit are not governed by internal control consideration. Is this answer right or wrong? Can you say? See, whether it is trust audit, whether it is cinema theatre audit, any audit, control is there. Not only that, test check will be resorted when controls are effective. If it is not effective, in depth we should see. So B is wrong. Restricting compliance of accounting standards as auditing are mandatory. But auditing standards are mandatory alla. See, in the option they are saying auditing standards are recommendatory. See, essays are mandatory. Once you do the audit, whether it is trust audit, whether it is company audit, whether it is firm audit, once audit is done, compliance of essay is mandatory. Wrong. Maintaining working papers for material item, as immaterial matters do not require documentation. See, I do agree. As per essay 230, only significant matters required to be documented. But can you say applying test check means material, immaterial? Applying of test check is something material. So auditor should document for future reference how he selected, why he performed test check. So this is also material in the case. So which is the option which is right? Answer is very good. Answer is A. He has to apply the judgment, then he should select the audit test, then evaluate and document. Working papers, essay 230. So guys, to sum up, we are winding up the MCQ discussion of RTP. To sum up, There were a lot of things which we discussed. The relevant essays or relevant topics, can I give you a sum up? So let's also revise with the discussion, no? If you want to simply know the answer, you can see RTP. If you come for the discussion, I wanted you some knowledge also. See, here there are few concepts which we revised. Just give me 1 or 2 minutes. First one was whenever risk is high, you have to perform further audit procedure to obtain additional evidence through further procedure. Now, inquiry alone cannot provide you with sufficient and appropriate evidence. Next one. Uh, Test of control. For test of control, you have to do specific. Whenever there is an issue, exact sentence I will say, whenever there is a deviation in control, and I'm revising, whenever there is a deviation, already you found out, then specifically you should do. SA 330 also say, whenever there is a deviation, specifically you should do. Now, SAP. Substantive audit procedure and TUC are different. Checking compliance with the internal policies, redesigning of control you studying, all are test of control. This is SAP. Now, management representation is not sufficient and appropriate, it is not substitute. Then, if you're checking obsolete inventory cost NRV, the assertion is valuation. Then, auditor's responsibility, all these are management responsibility. Auditor's responsibility is to check whether to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence whether policies are consistently applied. Okay, then that sentence about SA 300, planning is not a discrete phase. And finally, when you use the test check, you have to apply your judgment, you have to test whether controls are okay, and finally, you should document. Documentation of significant matter, SC 230. This is also documentation of significant matter. So that's it, guys. MCQ. Yo or IO, if all clear, can you give me a yo? So, good evening, buddies. We have already completed full RTP discussion. We have completed MTP 2 MCQ discussion. This is your MTP 1. Okay, for the upcoming May 26 exams. In this session, we are going to discuss first mainly the MCQs. So, as you are aware, MCQs are for 30 marks, and let's rush as if we are doing in the examination. So, maximum you should spend 30 minutes in the exam. So, let's also try to finish in 30 minutes. So, keep replying. Let's start. Okay. So, first you saw the case scenario. In the case scenario, it's a very big case scenario. As always, go to the questions first. Now read the question. What the question says. In the above case scenario of Nova Engineering Limited has clarified that assignment would be carried out in accordance with the standards on auditing which are applicable. Based on the engagement partner's statement, which of the following engagements would be most appropriately fall within the scope of standards in the present context? See, they are asking which of the following would fall in the scope of the standards as prescribed. Okay. So here, what are you up to? See, can you go back and read what kind of engagement you are appointed for the question 1? You are appointed as what? You have been appointed as the statutory auditors of Nova Limited. During the year, the engagement partner and the team would conduct in accordance with standards on auditing applicable for the audit of historical financial. This is audit which is done as per essay for historical financial. They are asking the scope. So can you say examinations of projections, certification of future cost estimates, review of internal control, audit of FS, which would fall within the scope? Can you reply? Is it A, B, C, D? which will fall within the scope of audit? Answer is, see, it is a clearly an audit engagement. So answer is, that's right. It is D. Now wait. Examination of projections. Can we revise? Examination of projections will fall when it is a what engagement? SAE, assurance. So this is not assurance. They have clearly said it is a audit. Review of internal control. All these, review will happen. We won't give an assurance. Here, since it is audit, it is D. D for dog. Very correct. Now, can we go to the next one? Second one. Okay. In planning, meeting described in the case scenario, the engagement partner first established the strategy and then instructed the team to develop a detailed plan after obtaining knowledge about the business model and the process. Now, which standard came to your mind? Strategy, plan. Which standard came to your mind? Essay. 300. Strategy, plan. In the context, primary reasons for obtaining knowledge before developing the plan is. What is the primary reason for obtaining the knowledge? To enable the auditor to design audit procedures, to determine whether new revenue system complies with accounting standards, replace the need for performing the RAP, ensure team uses minimum possible audit resources. Can you say? You might think more than one answer is correct, but they are asking what is the primary reason, the main reason. See, we have been studying the audit of cinema, hotel, hospital, education, etc. In chapter number 9. For cinema theater, you check the ticket sale advertisement. For the hotel, you check the kitchen order ticket, like that, hall booking, etc. So once you understand about the business, then only you can decide what to be carried out. So the primary reason of deciding or understanding the business is to decide what audit procedure. So answer is A. See, accounting standard primarily responsibility of management, not ours. We have to check compliance. Risk assessment procedure has to be done in planning phase also, not this. Resources is mainly in strategy or plan ada. Resources is mainly done in strategy. Here they are asking about the plan. So not the other three. So always when you study like this, when you study in this particular month, why it is not other three option, why it is A. So more concept will go in your mind. But I have 1 and 2 clear. Can we go to 3? Okay, so this is particularly essay 200, or we can say it is chapter 1 question. This is chapter 2, which is essay 300. Now, next. In the case scenario, the audit team identified the new revenue recognition system could affect several items in FS simultaneously. Inventory valuation, revenue transaction involved specific risk relating to particular transactions and balances. So it's talking about some kind of risk. Now, based on engagement partner's explanation, which of the following classifies the risk? See guys, risk assessment. Which essay came to your mind? Hello, risk assessment, risk assessment. Risk assessment is essay 315. Chapter 3. In chapter 3, we learned risk happens in how many levels? I'm not asking what are the components of audit risk. I did not ask. I asked you risk happens in how many levels? Risk happens in 2 levels. What are the 2 levels? Either overall FS or assertion level in essay 315. Now, in this question, they are asking both risk will affect financial statements. Both risk will affect assertion level. First risk will affect financial, second risk will affect assertion. First risk will affect assertion, second risk will affect financial. You want to try? I will give you 10 seconds time. Can you say whether it is A, B, C, D? Can you reply? See, the first what they said, the revenue recognition system could affect several items in FS simultaneously, meaning this particular will not only affect account balance, class of transaction, disclosure, it will affect the overall FS, means it will affect the FS as a whole. Whereas second risk is only with respect to inventory valuation, meaning it is a specific risk which affects only particular, meaning this will affect only assertion level. First will affect the entire FS, second will affect the assertion level. So can you say which is the option which says, first says both will affect full FS? No, this is only specific. Second says both will affect only specific assertion. First risk affects entire FS. C. First risk is full FS. Yes. Second risk is assertion. Yeah. So answer is C. In class, I used to say one example. If there is a going, I don't know how many of you remember, going concern, if there is a risk, it affects the overall FS. Whereas if there is a risk in traveling expense, it affects only the um, class of transaction. Same way, certain risk will affect full FS, certain risk will affect only assertion. Can I get a green signal? Hello, for the first case scenario. So look at that. First question, chapter 1, second question, chapter 2, and third question, chapter 3. Wow. If you give me a green signal, we can go to next case study. Ready? Yes. Now ISA has been putting MCQs, even if you see in the MTP too, MCQs relating to chapter number 9. Earlier, they had asked very less in chapter 9. What is chapter 9, guys? Different entities, cinema, hotel, government, cooperative. Okay, let it be there. Let's directly go to the question, then read back. Okay, can you read? Okay. Based on the given facts, which of the following best explains implication of difference between class registers of 620 students and fee registers of 590? I think you can go up and read the case study. Where is it? Here. For question number 4, you can read this. While reviewing the student fee records for the July-September, auditor compared class registers with fee register of students. Class register showed 620 students, whereas students register showed only 590. Further, it revealed receipts total 12,40,000, whereas it is only 11,90,000. So, guys, what would have occurred in the Naranda Kana? In happen pannalam? Like, what would have happened? See, actually, there are 620 students physically in class. Actually, whereas in the register only 590 were entered. As a result, what would have happened? Fee demands may not have been raised for 30. 30 means that difference, 620 minus 590. Hostel income may be understated. So students fee register. Third, difference indicates advance collected from fees. How advance? Difference represent fees for late payment fines, etc. See, which is the best option out of this? Since there is a 30 students which have been omitted, okay? Class there are 620 class register, whereas in the student register there is only 590. So 30 students have been omitted. If 30 students is omitted, which is the best option out of this? Answer is, if 30 is not there in student register, from 30 they would not have demanded the fees. So answer is A. See, in that chapter we say now, fees collected should be compared with the student fee register. Same. So answer is A. Okay, next. During the audit of Saraswati University, the auditor estimated hostel income on 200 rooms on 80% occupancy rate at monthly of 6,000. The recorded hostel income was found materially higher than auditor's estimate. See, they are calculating 200 rooms, monthly 6,000 fees for 200 rooms, into 80% occupancy into 12 months. So auditor thought this much will come, but actual was more. See, more than auditor's estimate. See, they would have said here. Question number 5. 200 rooms, 80%, 6,000. However, recorded was 1.8. If you multiply, this will be below 1.8, but actual was 1.8 crores. So what auditor would do? Accept the recorded since it is supported by evidence. We don't accept like that. Adjust the estimate to match the recorded income if minor difference. This is in crores. It's not minor. Conclude that income is overstated solely based on analytical comparison. Investigate the variance by examining the records, occupancy, assumptions, perform additional procedure. Which is the correct option? Can you say? Answer is, we study in essay 520, whenever there is a deviation or fluctuation, auditor shall perform additional audit procedure, inquiry with the management, he will perform further procedure, he will investigate. So here there is a difference. So what he will do, he will investigate. So the answer is, D. You remember essay 520, analytical procedure? In that we say you have to investigate, you have to inquiry with the management, like that. Okay. Can we go to the next one? 6. Where is 6? Which of the following best describes analytical procedure applied by the auditor to evaluate the hostel income? Trend analysis, reasonable test, verification of hostel fee, test of control. They say about analytical procedure. Here we are checking number of rooms occupied. How many rooms? 200 rooms occupied to the hostel fees. We are checking the non-financial. Number of rooms is non-financial and hostel fees is financial. So for 200 rooms, 1.8 crore. From where? Here, 1.8 crore is not reasonable. So which technique is he using? Answer is it rent, reasonableness, or checking with cash book? See, hostel receipt checking with cash book is test of detail. This is test of control. They are asking analytical. So it is either A or B. Trend means previous year. Here it is reasonableness. Again, essay 520. Are you clear? Okay. Now, last question of that particular case study. With reference to the given facts, which aspects of examining expense is primarily affected when 75,000 spent on air conditioner is recorded as repairs and maintenance. In fact, you need not even read case study, but my suggestion is for the exam, don't take risk. Please go and read the case study. Okay. So what happened? 75,000 was spent on purchase of air condition, but they have recorded as repairs and maintenance. So expenditure pertaining to current year audit. See, they are not doing cut off. Whether expenses current year, no. Whether expenses supported by valid documents, are they checking the occurrence? No. Whether expenses qualified as revenue and not capital. Whether expenses related to activities. What happened? Correct. See, air conditioner should have been capital, but they record as repairs. So answer is C. So where you learn, see in chapter number 3, they say misstatement. Examples of misstatement, fake purchases, revenue treated as capital. Chapter number 3, they say examples of misstatements. It's also related to essay 450. All these not needed, I'm just saying. See, this is actually cut off, whether it is pertain to current year. Valid document, whether it has occurred, valid, not fake, occurrence. Okay. Whether it is related to university's activities, nothing related to that. This is revenue and capital. Can you reply whether case study 2 is okay? Come on, life is a race, run, run, run. Okay, case 3. See, they are saying a lot of things, by reading itself. CC, drawing power, computation. So something related to bank audit. Okay. So let's directly go to the question. Considering the facts given in the case regarding the relationship between outstanding balance in CC and drawing power determined by branch, how auditor should evaluate status on the reporting date? I think for this question 8, we can go back and read the case. And can you reply? Sanctioned limit. How much is the sanctioned limit? 10 crore. Okay. On the basis of the stock statement, bank computes the drawing power. During the branch audit, as on 31st, drawing power is computed at 8.2 crore. So 8.2 crore is drawing power. Sanction limit is 10 crore. Here we said 10 crore. Here. The outstanding balance in CC as on 31st March is 8.6 crore. Can you say which particular point is applicable over here? Further, the outstanding balance has been continuously more than drawing power for more than 90 days as on balance sheet date. And in bank audit, there is a point called as for cash credit overdraft. There is a point called as out of order. In cash credit or overdraft, they say it should not exceed. It should not exceed what? Drawing power or sanction limit, whichever is lower. Here, it exceeds the drawing power. Drawing power is 8.2, but 8.6, it is outstanding. That too for more than 90 days. So, what's the answer? Can you read? The account is regular. No. The account should be treated as out of order since the balance exceeds the drawing power. That should be the answer, but wait. The account is regular. No. The account cannot be evaluated until it is finalized. Nothing like that. It is out of order. Are you clear? That's right. It is option B. For this question number 8, this paragraph is relevant. Can we go to question 9? Okay. While evaluating security position of CC as on the reporting date, the auditor noted that drawing power was computed using stock information that was not contemporaneous on the reporting date, and borrowing on the account were already close to be determined based on primary security. Now, what has happened? Can you read? You can read this para. See? While reviewing the borrower's record, the auditor compared the stock value appeared in the audited FS and value reported. There is a significant difference between this. Further, it showed that inventory worth 2 crore, which was considered by the bank for drawing power, were lying in the third party. It has not obtained any confirmation. See, you know drawing power, how they calculate? Drawing power is dash plus dash. Stock plus, stock plus what? Debtors. Here, stock, there is so much of mismatch, missing information. Bank has calculated based on that information. That's right. Stock plus debtors is drawing power adjusted by margin. So, which of the following conclusion is most appropriate? There was a lot of issues in the stock. The borrowing position may not be reliable since it is based on the outdated information. Stock and debtors is primary security for CC. The account should be treated as regular because sanction limit is not exceeded. See, 10 crore is sanction limit, it is not exceeded, but still, whichever is lower, no. Drawing power computation can be accepted since borrower submitted stock statement earlier in the year. See, stock statement should be submitted regularly. You remember CARO clause 2, quarterly or monthly stock statement should be matching with the books. Auditor should rely on the audited FS. So from the bank point of view, which is the most appropriate, guys, it's not B. A or C or D or. Answer is, by applying the common sense and logic, answer is A. Data is not reliable. Correct. Correct. Next. During the audit, auditor noted that portion of inventory considered while determining drawing power was stated to be lying at the third-party warehouse and observed difference. Considering the facts, which of the following procedure most effectively address the risk of auditor? See, in this case, we read na 2 crore, it is lying at the third party warehouse. So, what should be the most effective procedure to address risk? Rely on the stock statement submitted, accept representation. See, as per SA 580, written representation is not absolute, not sufficient and appropriate, it's only corroborative, that you cannot accept. Obtain confirmation from the third party, restrict verification to purchase invoice. See, we learn in SA 500, external confirmation is more reliable. Whenever there is risk is high, you go for more confirmation. You cannot rely, you cannot restrict. Since risk is high, already there is a mismatch, you obtain confirmation from third party. Can we go to next one? Okay. The auditor accumulated the difference identified between the stock reported to the bank and stock appearing in audited FS and noted aggregate misstatement was approaching materiality. Management, however, decided not to make the adjustment. In the light, what auditors primarily consider in evaluating implications. See, there is a lot of issues there. So what auditors should primarily do, they are asking in this case. Already we said now a lot of issues. Conclude. FSR misstated without further procedure. Evaluate whether uncorrected misstatement materially or aggregate, consider its implication. See, you have to do further procedure, so it's not A. Accept management explanation. As I told you, management explanation you cannot accept, then why audit? Ignore misstatement since it does not exceed materiality threshold. So is it B or D? Can you say? See, we say in essay 450 evaluation, you have to see whether individually or in aggregate. In materiality 320, we say individually or in aggregate. You remember performance materiality, you should see both individually and in aggregate. So 11th one answer is B for boy. Okay, last question in the case study. Okay. During discussions, the bank manager suggested the auditor to avoid reporting the irregularities so that borrower's banking relationship is not affected. Considering the situation, which of the following ethical principles should be primarily guide auditor's response? The integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional behavior, professional competence. See, bank manager is saying to give a false information. Since if you report this, client relationship will be affected. If you agree to the bank manager, is it confidentiality? Are you reporting to the public? No. Behavior mean, is it disrepute? No. You don't lack skill? No. But integrity, why you are giving a false info by compromising your objectivity. So the best answer is A. Why you are giving a false report? False report is integrity. Are you clear? So that was case study 3. Now we have 3 individual MCQs. So 15 MCQs of 2 marks each. That's how 30 marks. So if you give me a proceed, we will proceed. Can I get a proceed? Okay. BCD Limited is engaged in manufacturing of electronic components. During the audit of FS, the auditor assessed risk of material misstatement of revenue and inventory balances. While designing further procedure, wants to perform test of detailed substantive combination. Auditor noted that reliable data was available and relationship between sales volume and revenue was historically been predictable. However, certain unusual fluctuation occurred. Auditor exercised judgment and decided in doing the substantive procedure to reduce risk to a acceptable low level. Which essay came to your mind when you heard this much? Ma'am, which essay you say? Da. Perform further audit procedure 330. Why? To reduce risk to an acceptable low level. Okay, so what's the answer? Which of the following correctly? You see whether the option they are asking is correct or incorrect. At times they ask which is incorrect, at times they ask what is correct. Substantial analytical procedure must be always used instead of test of detail. Array, you cannot substitute that. You can't say analytical must be always used instead. No, TOD gives the most sufficient evidence. Auditor must decide whether to use test of detail substantive based on judgment regarding effectiveness of reducing the risk to a level. Substantive analytical can only be used when control risk is assessed low. No, nothing like that. Test of detail is mandatory irrespective of auditor's judgment. See, test of detail is done, but it is based on judgment how much to do. So, which is the answer? So, auditor has to decide based on the judgment what to do. So, answer is option B. SA 330 says performing TOD, performing analytical combination of both based on your judgment. Second last question, come on. Actually, without even reading, if you read the last sentence, you'll understand. Which of the following statement correctly reflects application of materiality as per 320? Say company having turnover 500, R determined materiality in planning stage. He identified individually and aggregate material misstatement. He wanted to reevaluate materiality. So it's something related to materiality SA 320. Materiality is determined only in planning, cannot be revised. So in the event of becoming aware of a fact that would have caused the auditor to fix different materiality initially, auditor shall revise. Ma'am, what are you up to? I'm saying the sentence in 320. So whenever you come to know a fact, you will revise. You can revise. This is wrong. Only individual materiality. How many times we said individual and aggregate? Materiality is there in planning, performing, evaluating. Seems to be correct. Once management refuses to correct, auditor must automatically issue qualified opinion. If management refuses, you will go for TCWG, SA 260. Then only you will go for audit report. So answer is C. I always say to the students, there will be question from AS, at least one question, AS or law. See, this is from your accounting standard, I guess. Yes. Okay, read. A Limited is engaged in manufacturing operations, significant work in progress. Auditor evaluates measurement of stage progress, basis of estimates, cost elements, etc. Which of the following audit observation inappropriate valuation of work in progress? See, work in progress means inventory. If it is reporting requirement of inventory, then which one will come to your mind? Here I'm not asking, okay, I'm asking you generally. If the question asks you reporting requirement of work in progress or inventory, then CARO clause 2. If they're asking about audit procedure, audit evidence of inventory, SA 501. If they are asking about valuation of inventory, like here, it is something related to AS2. So, various stages. So, they wanted which is inappropriate. Inappropriate means incorrect they wanted. So, which is incorrect? The various stages of production addition measured where estimates are made. Base of such estimates is understood. They wanted inappropriate. Inappropriate means which is incorrect they wanted. See, they wanted which is inappropriate. Overheads included in work in progress based on method consistent with costing and financial data maintained by the entity. Auditor has ascertained the element of cost. Material costs include abnormal wastage. See, material. As per AS2, it will include cost of materials, overheads, however, and all the incidental cost to the present condition. However, abnormal cost not include, exclude. So, which is wrong? It is, yeah, B. No. Answer is D. You are right, D. So that's it, guys. With that, we are winding up the MTP once MCQ.
Hello guys, right now we are going to discuss the MCQs of MTP 2 for our upcoming May 26 exams. So here there is a variety of questions from different chapters. So I always say to the students, MCQs, how many minutes you should allot? Can you please say? 3 hours paper, you should allot only 30 minutes maximum for the MCQs. Right now, our strategy is not to discuss any topics, but like for the exam, real environment, how will you do within 30 minutes maximum? It's like in the exam, we are going to mock. This is called as mock test paper, na? So, yes, start. Life is a race. Run, 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 run. So, you saw in the question paper case scenario. Now, what will you do? Directly go to the question. Okay, leave this. Now, you directly go to the question. Now, can you read first question? In the planning stage described in the case scenario, the engagement partner emphasized understanding regulatory, identifying the significant matter, determining materiality, involvement of experts. And when you hear all of this, which essay will come to your mind? Essay. Planning, planning, planning. 300. In 300, there are 5 factors in planning. Do you know what are the 5 factors in planning? 5 factors are first, analytical procedure, understanding, determining materiality, involvement of expert, and other risk assessment procedures. Now, in the context, the primary rationale for such approaches, primary means the main justification is restrict planning to allocation of audit staff. All these factors is only to restrict. See, nature, timing, and extent of resources is done in strategy. The primary use of planning is not this, not to restrict also. Consider regulatory and expert after detection of misstatement. See, planning phase you will determine expert whether needed, legal environment. Then only you will perform. So, no. Ensuring that planning includes those 5 factors. What? Understanding significant risk, materiality, expert, risk assessment procedure. Seems to be correct. Limit regulatory understanding only to compliance and not financial. So even in financial audit, planning, one of the factors is understanding law. So which is the correct option, guys? Answer is C. Done. It's like in exam. So run, run, run. Second one. In case scenario, the audit team identified revenue recognition, loan provisioning that involves significant judgment susceptible to misstatement even before considering internal control. When you hear these words, susceptible to misstatement before considering internal control, which risk came to your mind or what came to your mind? As per essay 200, audit risk, inherent risk, control risk, detection risk. Here susceptibility before control. Inherent risk due to failure of internal control or detection risk. Detection risk is audit procedure. No, it is not internal control. Here it is inherent risk. This we are solving as if it is an exam. So please do it fast. Answer is B. Third one. Okay. In the case scenario, the audit team identified misstatements but was unable to determine whether it arose due to fraud or error. See, whenever you find out misstatements, you have to evaluate. Which essay came to your mind? You have to evaluate how it will impact essay 450, essay 500 evidence, etc. 330 also it comes, that is for response. Now, he found out misstatements, but he is unable to identify whether it is fraud or error. Auditor must conclusively establish fraud. See, audit is never conclusive, so reading itself rule out. Only misstatement arising from fraud. No. From chapter 1, essay 200, you are saying misstatement can be either due to fraud or error. Misstatement arising from error can be ignored if individually immaterial. You have to consider individual as well as dash. Can you say the other word? Individual as well as. Aggregate you have to find out. So, no. The answer should be D, but read. Auditor should obtain reasonable assurance that financial statement as a whole should be free. Evaluate the impact of in aggregate. So, individually or in aggregate. So, answer is D. So, that's the first case scenario. First answer is C. Next is, that's from essay 300, chapter 2. Next is chapter 3, inherent risk. And last, it's more general, but I'll say chapter 7, evaluation of misstatements. Are you okay with the case scenario 1? If so, can we proceed to case scenario 2? See, this case scenario is like what you call, you saw KOT. So chapter number, fluctuation occupancy level, chapter number 9, different entities. So you just glance, don't read through. Now you can directly go. Actually, it's easy. Considering absence of KOT, unexplained GP fluctuation, weak internal control in restaurant, the most appropriate audit implication is. But if you want, you can go and read this para. See, there is KOT, there is no supporting evidence, kitchen order ticket is not preserved, there is no supporting record, there is weak. Internal control is weak. So they themselves say in the question, what auditor should do? Increase substantive procedure, consider modification. Rely on management explanation. See, we say in essay 580, written representation, you can't believe. Enquiry alone from management and getting is not sufficient. Wrong. Ignore fluctuations. You can't ignore fluctuation. Why? In chapter 9, they say revenue of the hotel may be affected. Revenue. So you can't ignore. Restrict the scope to practical limitations. See, legal and practical limitation is inherent limitation. But here, which is the answer? A or D? Answer is A. Even though this seems to be from chapter 9, I'll say whenever internal control is weak, you have to increase your SAP, which is essay 330. When results of TOC is unsatisfactory, what you have to do? Increase substantive audit procedure. Essay 330. So answer is A. Modification. You will consider whether qualified adverse disclaimer to be given towards the end. So answer is A. Can we go to next? Given the discounted room rates, lack approval and occupancy record were not retained, what is the most critical audit concern? If you want, you read the case study, okay? In case study, they say, see, room rates. Auditor observed discounted room rate without approval. Whenever there should be a concession or discount, it should be approved. There is no approval. What is the most critical audit concern? Can someone say which is the most critical concern? Risk of overstatement of room due to duplicate billing. If there is no approval for discount, revenue leak over. Can you first reply for that? Discount they are giving, but discount is not approved. So revenue less or more from the hotel point of view. Hi. If discount is given from hotel point of view, revenue will be leaked. First option they said what? Revenue will be more. Wrong. Leakage of revenue will come. Risk of minor difference. If it is not authorized, it's not minor difference. Misclassification of revenue and other income. Can you say which is the major concern? Dia, Tia, Dia. Which is more of common sense question, guys. Very good. Answer is B. But if it is not approved, revenue will be leaked. Okay. Next one. 6. Where auditor relied on internally generated report, oral explanation due to missing primary, how reliability of evidence is best evaluated? I felt this is a good question. I'll give you 10 seconds time for you to say the answer. You say any answer which you want. A, B, C, D. The auditor is relying on what? Internally generated report they are relying. Oral explanation they are relying. Because main record are missing. How you will evaluate reliability? See, in essay 500, you say reliability of evidence. How you will evaluate? See, copies of summary are equal to original records. No, photocopies are not equivalent to original. False. Internally generated is always reliable. You can't say. External is more reliable. Oral explanation. Inquiry alone is not sufficient. So those three ruled out this. Evidence is less reliable due to weak control. You know what? Internal evidence is more reliable if internal control is strong. Here we have already learned internal control is weak. So internal evidence is less reliable. This comes under essay 500, rules on reliability of evidence. Did you understand? So answer is C. Can I proceed? 7th. Considering the facts of the case, banquet invoices year-end were raised after year-end but included in receivables. Which of the following is the most appropriate audit conclusion? And I have to think as an auditor. Okay. You know what? 31st March, hotel will get some banquet hall booking. Hotel hall booking. What happened is, year end there were some invoices raised after year end, meaning they should have booked on 31st March, but they booked only on April. Because of this, what is affected? Receivables are understated, revenue understated, misstatement, revenue and receivables are. So sales, hotel sales is misstated. Sales means, can you say which is the correct option? Which before I say? They should have recorded on 31st March, but they recorded only on April. There's a delay. Hall booking is not recorded. Sales is omitted. If sales is omitted, revenue will be affected. Sales entry, debtors account debted to sales. So sales is gone, receivables also gone. Answer is B. Did you understand? See, I felt even though it is hotel, that there is nothing much related to chapter number 9. This is more or less of common sense or essay related. Don't you agree with me? Okay. Okay, fine. I forgot. We are in the exam atmosphere. So come on. Next we'll go. Case 3. Can I get a proceed? Okay. Case study we will read if required in the last. Always better you read the case study. Huh? Okay. Now, considering the auditor's responsibility in relation to going concern described in the fact, which of the following should be the primary focus? So if you go and see the case study, you saw there is a delayed government payment, etc. Auditor observed that continuous losses for past 2 years. Management prepared the financials on going concern, supported cash flow, expected restructuring based on assumption. So there is an issue of going concern. 570 essay. So what is your primary focus they are asking? Primary. Meaning they are asking your objective of essay 570. To obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence regarding going concern, assess material uncertainty. To conclude existence of loans. To verify management prepared projections. Report only if liquidation is certain. So your primary concern in going concern, essay 570 is to obtain evidence, 3 points, to obtain evidence, material uncertainty, report. So answer is A. Next, in the context, management assertion, no disclosure is required unless insolvency is certain. Which of the approaches should auditor adopt? See, management did not disclose. After you discuss with the management, you raised. So company is unable to continue. There is uncertainty of cash flows. The management strongly asserted financials will be prepared on going concern basis. There is no additional disclosure. Makla valida, invalida? No, you should not. Follow strictly, avoid disclosure. Rely on legal opinion. Management view. What is this? Familiarity threat, intimidation threat. To maintain relationship, you agree with them. Cancel that first. Apply principle based, exercise judgment, consider substance over form. You learn in AS1 substance over form. So even though they are like this, considering substance over form, it has to be done. Going concern, disclosure, etc. So answer is which one? D. Next. Can I proceed? Okay. Considering that this is the first year of audit, prior audit working papers are not available, change in accounting policy, what should be auditor primarily ensure? So if you see the question, you saw it is the first year of audit. Which essay came to your mind? It's an initial audit engagement, which is essay 510. 510, what you have to see, your objective is 2 points. Whether opening balance contains misstatement, objective of essay 510. Accounting policies are consistently applied, changes are properly disclosed. So, opening balance need not be verified, you should verify. Only transaction, no. essay 510 says opening balance. Rely. essay 580 says don't rely on management representation alone, corroborative only. So obtain evidence and accounting policy. So answer is C, essay 510. Can I proceed to 11th? Hello. Given the presence of optimistic management, high inherent risk, how auditor should approach risk assessment? When you hear about risk assessment, essay please. 315. So they said risk assessment only on quantifiable metrics. Good, very good. Is it correct or incorrect? If you see, we have discussed in classes, etc. Risk is either expressed in quantitative terms or non-quantitative terms. You remember, risk can be expressed in quantitative or non-quantitative. Better to say it as non-quantitative. They said only quantitative, wrong. Apply professional judgment. Okay. Treat risk assessment as a precise calculation. There is a sentence in chapter 3. Risk assessment is a matter of professional judgment and not precise measurement. You cannot measure precise. That's why it's called as risk. Relies only on management representation. As per SA 580, management representation you can't. So answer is B. SA 315. Are you okay? Sherry. Next. Based on the depreciation issues in the case, which of the following is most appropriate in audit conclusion? Where is depreciation? Here. I'm also reading with you only, da. Depreciation. You saw? Further examination revealed company owns aircraft for leasing which depreciated as a single unit. Residual value has not been deducted. Additionally, method of depreciation was changed without disclosure. Wrong, right? Lot of issues are there. Residual value change, they did not disclose. Multiple issues exist, ignoring residual and disclosure. Only method is the issue. Depreciation is acceptable. Depreciation error are immaterial. See, two things they did not do. One, change in method they did not disclose. Second, residual value. Both. Answer is A. So that completes the third case scenario. So rest three questions are individual MCQ. Can we finish off that also quickly? So yes. Yeah. GHI Limited is engaged in investment manufacturing activities during the year performed. Inspection procedures are following. Examine the share certificate, inspected executive sales, physically verified, reviewed internally generated invoice. Based on above, which of the following is most appropriate conclusion regarding inspection? Can you say the answer? We have given a lot of procedures which auditor had done. So which of the following is the most appropriate? They are asking for the inspection. Inspection of share certificate conclusively establishes existence, ownership, valuation. And if you inspect, whether it is our name or your name, it will establish which assertion? It will establish only ownership. So first answer is wrong. Inspection of executed contracts provides sufficient and appropriate evidence regarding revenue recognition without further procedure. The executed contract will give you the value, etc. But still, you need further evidence, right? Wrong. Can you say C or D or more correct? 5 seconds time. Correct. Correct. You say C or D or. Physical inspection of plant and machinery provides evidence about existence, but additional procedures is required for ownership and valuation. When you physically verify, existence is there, but still for valuation you have to check. For valuation you have to check AS 10 PPE. For ownership you have to check the invoice, etc. That seems to be correct. Inspection of internally generated invoices more reliable. Wrong. As per SA 500, external is more reliable. So answer is C. Next. What is this? Okay, read. PQR is a manufacturing entity. During the audit, auditor evaluated internal control for safeguarding the assets. He noticed following controls. Which of the following is most appropriate, relevant to auditor's consideration? In chapter number 3, we say, are all internal control relevant for the audit? Just say yes or no. Are all controls relevant to audit? No. Auditor is concerned with IFC, internal financial control, or control that affects financial reporting, audit, or controls that affects FS. There are certain controls which are not relevant to the audit. Here they are asking which of the controls are relevant to the audit out of these 4. Can you say relevant or irrelevant? You can type. Password protected access to systems handling cash disbursement. Relevant or irrelevant? Cash is something which affects the financial, so it is relevant. CCTV. See, CCTV surveillance for theft of inventory. See, here whether CCTV is there. Will you go and see? Fraud detection is not our primary objective, guys. So this is irrelevant. If you have to see all these, what all you will see in audit? Controls for seeing excessive consumption. See, basically, we are only to see the FS historical financial. Whether they have consumed excess raw material, that's management's role, not auditor. Irrelevant. You 1 minute. Okay. Maker checker authorization for bank payment. There should be segregation of duty. Internal control, entities control activities in that segregation of duty. That is relevant. So which is relevant? 1 and 4. So which is the option, guys? 1 and 4. Option B. Again, this is a common sense. More. Wow. We are going to wind up. That's it. Last question. STU Limited is a listed company issuing sweat equity shares. Sweat equity shares. You forgot section 54? While verifying the compliance, the auditor noted the following. Issue was approved by ordinary resolution passed at the meeting. And for sweat equity shares, you need special ordinary resolution. So you guys are expert in law. For issuing the sweat equity shares, you need special. Resolution mentioned the number of shares but did not mention the price. It should mention the number of shares, etc. Shares belong to new type of class. We learned sweat equity shares should belong to the type of shares which has been already issued. Company complied with the SEBI disclosure. Okay. Which of the following is most appropriate as per section 54? They themselves said section 54. Issue is valid. See, SEBI, they are valid, but there are some issues like non-disclosure, special resolution is not passed, new class of shares. So, no. Issue is partly valid, only disclosures. No. Valid as long as employees. See, special resolution was not there, disclosure was not there. So, answer is D. So, that's it, guys. I think almost half an hour or so approximate we have completed. So in between we have been discussing some other points. So that's it, guys. So in the exam, keep a timer, maximum 30 minutes for the MCQs. Okay. So when you practice also, I always feel you should practice keeping a timer. If you practice simply, you may feel very easy, but for the exam, it may not be useful. So that's it, guys. Let me know how the session was. And yeah, keep going. Last 1 month, very, 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 very crucial. Give your best. You might have been studying for the last 4 months, 5 months, 1 year, whatever it is. But last 1 month is very crucial. So give your best, leave the rest. All will be fine. So if you need any other support, you can message me. I'm happy to help you.